Hello and welcome to Startline, brought to you by the Manx Motorcycle Club. I'm Beth Espy and this podcast is about everything road racing, both on the Isle of Man and further afield. From the races and the teams to the organisers and officials, it is all here on Startline. Well, welcome to the Startline podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Now, this week, we're joined by Manx Grand Prix newcomer Andrew Coulter. Andrew is from Wakefield in West Yorkshire. He's been racing with no limits. He's had a taste of the roads at Oliver's Mount, and now he is preparing for the big one, the mountain course. And what I really like about this conversation is Andrew doesn't try and dress it up. He talks really honestly about the excitement, the nerves, the costs, the pressure of running his own business, bike changes, crashes, and the sheer amount of work that goes into even getting to the start line in the first place. Some really lovely moments in this too. His brother teaching him to ride in the front garden, his mum not being entirely thrilled about the whole thing, and his wife and kids becoming part of the racing world. Also, Andrew trying to learn the TT course with a corkboard, pins, post-it notes and a few reminders that somehow are helping it all stick. So here is Andrew then, garage owner, dad, racer, newcomer and someone who's been chasing a dream he's had for as long as he can remember.
Racing-wise, I've been with No Limits Racing for a couple of years now and then breaking out into the roads, which started out with Oliver's Mount, and now we've gone on to the Manx.
And it must have all seemed quite real, I guess, once you've made the decision to go to the MGP, you get your confirmation through, you come over for the first newcomers weekend. I'm guessing it's a little bit of a whirlwind at this point.
Yeah, massively. This was always kind of the goal. I mean, the TT is like the main kind of benchmark, but this is where I wanted to go. This was the steps I wanted to do. So when I started actually doing it and then start going through the process, I'll put the application in. I probably won't get anything back, but we'll see how it goes. So then when I actually got the email back to say you've been invited to the newcomer weekend, I was like completely and utterly just taken back. So it's, yeah, definitely a whirlwind.
And I can just see behind you as you're talking there's some trophies on the shelf behind you there. What have you got?
So they were my third place finishes at Alton Park with No Limits. So they're the only trophies I've actually got. But yeah, I've always seemed to be the runner-up, pretty much. But yeah, I'm getting there.
So just take us back there, Andrew. When did this all start for you and sort of become a dream that you wanted to pursue?
Ever since I can remember. When I was a young kid riding my bike in the street, I can remember conversations with one of my best friends as a kid. I used to tell him I will race motorbikes one day. And it's always been there, always. I had a big gap where, because of life and stuff, it just didn't seem to happen. And then, yeah, it just got to one point, like, I need to go for this and do it, yeah.
And I always ask about the sort of the upbringing and the sort of family and whether you've been surrounded by bikes, because it does seem to be something that sort of passes down through the generations. Was that your experience?
Yes and no. My mum and dad was never interested in anything remotely like motorsports or extreme sports. When I always used to say to them, I'm going to ride motorbikes, they're like, oof, no, you're not. Never. It was actually my older brother. Richard, he was the one that taught me to ride a bike first time in our front garden, and he was always the bike nut. And then it kind of over time, I kind of followed his footsteps. And then my mum and dad was like, "This isn't on, this isn't happening." So yeah, it was a mix, I'd say. But when I did eventually get my first road bike, which was against my mum's wishes, I didn't have it too long until I was hit head on by a drunk driver, and that didn't go down too well. Yeah, that was a bit of a setback, and she said to me then that you will never ride bikes again, and I've just carried on and never looked back.
And that seems to be the thing, doesn't it? If this is a passion that you have, it's not something, I suppose it's like with anything, isn't it? If you're really into something, it's really hard to give it up. I guess you can probably see, though, where that concern comes from and that people do get really worried about it because, oh God, it is inherently dangerous and you just want to protect the people that you love, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, she's now proud of me for doing it still. But I think she's almost taken a step back as well, though, because the less she knows, the better, almost. But yeah, it's definitely dangerous, but it's part and parcel of what we do.
So do you think she'll be coming to MGP?
Up until recently, I didn't think so. I thought she'd completely, just taken a back step and doesn't show much interest. But I did mention it the other day, and she's asked about the date, so I'm not sure. She may come or may not. I'm not sure yet.
And I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Because it's such an important time for you when there's a lot riding on it. Ha ha ha, another bike fun there. But it's nice to have the people around you that you can who totally get you, who understand how you are under pressure and just having that support.
Yeah, it's that support kind of network that you need. You need that kind of, that family unit to bring you down a little bit sometimes when everything's a little bit stressful and yeah, so it'll be good to have them there.
Well, fingers crossed for that one then.
Yeah.
Just after you had your first biking incidents there and whatever and learning on your front lawn, which is a great image there for us. Did your brother keep riding as well, did he?
Yeah, we started out with motocross. So we used to ride motocross together. And then eventually, I mean, he always had like their bikes when he was younger and when he first could get his L plates and stuff. But then he had a big gap and then he's recently just passed his road license as well. So it's typical. He's bought a road bike to come out riding with me. And then I've sold my road bike so I could continue racing. So he seems to always kind of miss the boat.
So when did your sort of first competitive racing start after you said you did motocross, and then how did it progress after that?
So I had a big gap. Started turning to the roads, mainly doing track days, probably about 2014, 2015 on small bikes. And then I got a Suzuki GSXR 600 and I kept that thing for years, doing loads of track days. And then I had a bit of a nasty off at Donington at Melbourne Loop. And it set me back a little bit. There was a lot going on then. There was family, work. And I had a little bit of a gap and didn't really do anything. And then I met a friend of mine called Ricky. He got me back into it. Like, come on, we need to drag this bike out. We need to get it fixed up. We need to get back on the track. And it's his fault because as soon as we did, it just completely relit the fire. So then I started track daying a lot. We did some European trips. Then I started with No Limits in 2023, I think it was. That was my first race with them. And that was it. I was hooked.
And, it's all very well once you've been through something like that, getting over the physical side of things. But I've spoken to quite a few people, and that mental rebuilding that you have to do, it can take some time, can't it? And I guess, it would be easier in some ways just to walk away. But if there's still something there, it's, it goes back to that thing that's really hard to give up, isn't it?
Yeah. This was the one. I've had little accidents before in the past and stuff, and it's always been a case of, what did I do wrong? How can I get back? But that was the one that kind of like knocked me for a bit. And he was one of them. The bike was in the corner under a cover. And I kept looking at it thinking, do I? And then when he told me to do it again, I'm like, right, I've got to do this. Because if I don't try, I'll forever regret it. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are then. When did you decide to put in your expression of interest for the Manx Grand Prix then?
So that was, I think it was as soon as it went out last year. I saw that the MGP had put it straight on their socials. I think it was the night that the entries were open for newcomers. I was like, I'm just going for it. I'm just going to do it and see where it goes. So I knew I'd have a good couple of seasons running at the front at No Limits. So I knew I had a good shot, but I was originally worried about not having much road experience that I didn't know where it was going to go. But yeah, it looks like those good results paid off. So,
do you remember where you were when you got that email through saying that you've been accepted? That expression of interest had been accepted, and you've been invited to the first newcomers weekend.
Yeah, I was at work, like most days at work, very stressful, high pace. I'd been waiting for a long time for it. Every time my phone pinged, I could hear the email tone. I was like, oh, could it be? And I was checking for weeks and weeks and weeks. I was checking my spam. And that particular day, I'd just kind of forgotten about it. And just kind of thought, it's not going to come. Halfway through a job, phone pinged. I just couldn't believe it. Absolutely shocked.
It's hard to go back to the day job, I imagine, when you've had news like that. It's sort of like, how you sort of come down a peg or two and just get on with it. What is the day job?
I own a garage, small garage. It's just me. Halfway through doing a service. So it was a case of I finished that service off, shut the doors and went home.
So again then, I suppose from a practical point of view, if you are very mechanically minded, are you sort of okay prepping your bikes yourself and everything as well, doing that side of things?
When it comes to bikes though, it's weird. I find bikes like a bit of a dark art. They're a little bit more complicated. The settings and changes make a lot of difference compared to where a car would. I like doing it, but I'm quite thankful that I've got a good few friends around me that can help me, set up those little tweaks and get me closest. But yeah, at the minute, in the middle of the garage, being fully rebuilt with a new engine in it since Donington Park a couple of weeks ago.
And it must be so stressful when you've got your own business as well, which you have to keep going, but then trying to fit in time to go away and do all the racing that you need to do. And there must just be this constant to-do list in your head.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'd say the last couple of years, but this last year seemed a little bit more stressful. I've just changed from a Kawasaki to a Yamaha for this year because of the homologation rules. And it's meant that everything's been crazy, trying to set the bike up, get used to the bike, work, life. It's just been absolutely mad this time, but all worth it.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It has to be. Otherwise, you'd sit there and think, why do you bother? I mean, do you have much of a social life outside of the biking scene?
No, not really, no. With work, family and racing, there's not much room for anything else, really.
Yeah, it's a good job you love it then, isn't it? Really is. You just talked about the sort of the change of the machine because of the different rules, and the regulation side of things is, again, something I think most people who watch the racing don't necessarily think about, but there is a lot to consider. These change all the time. You've got things even like with your leathers and stuff like that. Are you the sort of person who sort of is quite methodical about going through the regulations and find that okay to sort of get through them?
Yeah, pretty much. The difference I'm finding at the moment is the difference in scrutineering compared to short circuits. They're a lot more in depth so I've got the regulations. I'm really thankful that really close friends with Dan Pearson. So he's helping me go through the things that he knows and stuff. And we've even set a date that I'm going to take the bike across to his place. And we're going to go through it all and get it set up. But I've been trying to slowly keep up with the times. So like I say, with the levers, recently I had to change the airbag levers, the helmet, everything, yeah. So it's been very costly, but yeah.
Just thinking about sort of the mountain course generally, have you been over to watch racing before now?
Yeah, so I originally went in 2007 for the centenary for the TT.
That was a good one.
Oh, yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. So I went across with a sidecar team. It was Simon Neary. So I had a first-hand experience of like doing a bit of pit stops and stuff. And again, since then, I was like, I have got to do this one day. And so that was like the main kind of, that started the bug of going to the roads. And then we went across every other year. And then my cousin, her friend and my brother go across pretty much every single year for the TT. So been over quite a bit. I've done quite a few laps. So.
And you mentioned coming over with the sidecar crew there. Ever fancied being a sidecar driver or passenger?
Funnily enough, we've had this conversation recently. Another friend of mine, Sam, we're currently arguing who's going to drive. But we have said we've got to give it a go one year, see if we can do it. But I don't like the idea of being a passenger, I must admit.
I think it must be difficult, isn't it? If you're used to riding a solo machine and you are so used to being in control, sort of relinquishing that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really hard. Speaking as somebody who would never do either, to be honest. But I can imagine that'd be quite a difficult thing to get your head around.
Yeah, you can't ride for yourself anymore. You've got to ride for the person with you, or vice versa. You've got to be so in sync. I don't know how they do it. Honestly, I take my hats off to them. They're like the real heroes.
I'm intrigued then as to how you and your friend are going to sort this out. Is it going to be, rock, paper, scissor game?
That's going to be the only way we can actually settle it, I think, yeah.
So obviously, having been over to watch it and, sat in the hedge, being the person that, like people will watch you when you go around later on this year, how well would you say you know the course up to this point?
Names-wise, that's the biggest thing I'm struggling with at the minute. It's one of them, once I actually start doing it, it becomes almost, I wouldn't say second nature, because there's things I'll pick up as I go around myself and what have you. But when I can watch short clips or playing the game, if something pops up, I can instantly go, oh, that corner's this way. And I know where I'm going. But if somebody was to say, okay, corner name, what's the next corner called? They'll be like, oh. It's just the names. I just need to try and figure out a way of memorising the names. But otherwise, I'm pretty confident so far.
And I guess knowing the names is really important, isn't it, for when you hear the clerk of the course going through the conditions and where there are places where you need to look out for certain things. So, God, I've lived over here all my life, and I think my knowledge of the TT course is limited at best. But it's just, I guess, working out what sort of learner you are, becoming the mastermind specialist on TT course corners. I mean, that's easy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe not. We've got a little cork board at the minute with a map on, and I'm putting little pins in and little post-it notes and stuff. So that's helping quite a bit actually. So write little silly things down. And it's mainly the stupid remarks that I know of certain corners that kind of stick in my head that helps. So that's pretty good.
You mentioned the game. Are you any good at it?
Yes, but I'm going to say that the game handling wise is absolutely terrible. It's one of the worst games to play ever, and I'm going to use the excuse. It's nothing to do with me, but yeah, I do okay. I crashed about 6 times a lap, but yeah, we won't go there. Yeah.
Who do you normally choose as your rider?
At the minute, because of riding the R6, I wanted to be on something similar, so I've been choosing Jamie Coward on the Super Sport. So yeah, he's my go-to man at the minute.
And just thinking then about the first Newcomers Weekend, say back in February, how did you find all of that?
A massive overload of information. It was a lot to take on, but at the same time, it was just amazing. It was so surreal to kind of feel special, almost. The team just made everybody feel so comfortable at home and like we were important, which was like really, really good. But yeah, it's a lot to take in. But I suppose there is a lot to take in. You know, you've got to try and squeeze it all into 2 days. So, but yeah, doing the laps over and over again and watching the videos just got to a point of a bit like, oh my God, I need a rest.
Do you know, I was talking to somebody who was on one of the laps with Milky, and I know I've mentioned this before, and like 4 hours. I was like, that is incredible. I mean, if you think about
Yeah.
how slowly you could go around the TT course,
Yes.
but like you said, there is so much information, and it's just trying to store all of that, because it's one thing going around and pootling, but you
Yeah.
are going to be doing it at, you know, sort of the speeds you're going, and you have to be so sure that you know where you're going.
Yeah, there was one point we was out with Milky actually, and we're going down towards Grebe Castle, and he said, "Right, we're on this section now. You want to be looking for the White House." And everybody in the back of his little minibus was like looking at each other, thinking, "White House? What White House?" And then when he mentioned it again and pointed, you could see this little white dot in the distance. You're like, "Oh my God!" And he's like, "Trust me, the speed you're coming through here, that'll come very quickly." They're like, "Wow!" But it was them little hints and tips and important things that you can kind of, you know, really learn from. So it was good. But yeah, a very long, very, very long lap.
You mentioned your friends, obviously, with Dan Pearson. He's another
Yeah.
fellow MGP newcomer this year.
Yeah.
I mean, great to have people who are literally going along the same journey with you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're thankfully we're in a little bit of a WhatsApp group with Andy Hurd, Bailey, me and Dan and Aaron Hans. So we've got a good group together, you know, sharing a bit of information stuff and also looking out for each other, and that's quite helpful and quite good to know that we're all, like you say, going through the same journey together and learning it. So that's quite handy to have.
Have you got a countdown? Do you know how many days it is at the point we're talking?
Yes. So I think if I remember rightly, we're at 89 days today.
Flipping heck. When you put it like that, it doesn't sound very long away, does it?
I know, it's quite scary. I keep thinking about, because I usually use 86 for my racing number. And I was thinking about all along, like, oh, I'll do an 86 days to go with a nice fancy picture. And then when I looked today, it was at 89. I was like, oh my God, this is coming around fast, like really fast.
And who have you got coming with you?
So I'm going to take the wife and kids. Again, thankfully, I've got some good friends. Stan that I was talking about earlier, he's coming through as part of my pit crew, and his sister and mum, I think, they're coming through. So it's going to be really good to have them with us.
And just about your wife, has she been into bikes before meeting you?
No, not at all. Again, she's a bit of another one, really. A bit like my mum, no interest. Like over the last couple of years, really got into it. She enjoys the race meetings and stuff, especially when I'm doing well. But yeah, she's an absolute bag of nerves every time I go out there.
And how do you get? Are you nervous before you go out?
I used to be. I used to be really, really bad. It was more so lying up on the grid, that fear of, you know, everybody being around you if you were to stall or hit somebody in front. So it used to really kind of like stress me out. I used to get really, really worried. But now I'm quite calm. Sometimes I think I'm a little bit too horizontal, and that's probably why I've not been doing it so well.
And what about the kids then? Are they showing any signs of being interested?
Yeah, my eldest son, Charlie, he always used to, well, he still is really interested in cars, and he was never interested in bikes. But since getting to racing, we've got him a little pit bike now, and he's constantly wanting to go out on that. And I think he secretly wants to follow in the footsteps. He keeps mentioning about a CB500, and I'm like, whoa, slow down. So, but yeah, he's really getting into it now. He loves being there. He loves being at the race meetings and doing the pit boards and stuff. he loves it.
And it's a great atmosphere, isn't it? We always talk about what a wonderful place a paddock is for kids.
Yeah.
It's idyllic in some ways, isn't it? Because they can just go a bit feral.
Yeah, pretty much. He looks forward to the race weekend so much more for the paddock life than anything else. He just feels he's got a bit of freedom. He's met a big group of friends as well there. They always meet up every time they go out. But yeah, he loves that kind of atmosphere, and I do too. It's the best part of it.
Bet it is. And what about sponsor-wise then, Andrew? Who have you got on board with you?
So I'm quite lucky for a few actually. So the main ones are my car parts supplier at work. They're Butler's Automotive. They supply me with the oil filters, spark plugs, and a few other things for the bike, which is fantastic. I've got BFast Shop, which started out doing wooden knee sliders and turned into doing all sorts now. BFast Shop have been excellent from the beginning. I've got DKM Road Racing, which does super finishing of gearboxes and race undercutting. He's doing some fantastic work and picking up some really good names at the minute for the paddock. I've also got Edge Sportswear, which has just done my new tops for this year. So new T-shirts and hoodies, mainly for the Manx. And then I've got myself, so my own garage. And then there is a new one on board, which is Callum Hurst, Elevate Performance. So he's the one that's trying to whip me into shape and get a bit of fitness for the Manx as well. There's also two more, which is Wakefield Bodyworks in Ossett, which is a small body shop, which is absolutely fantastic. There's some good lads. And there's also Oz Conversions, which does camper vans and repairs on camper vans and bits like that. And that's all of them. I'm so impressed that you didn't even have a list there. You just rattled those off the top of your head. I'm usually terrible, but recently I've been writing them down. Well, it just shows, doesn't it, just how important these people are to you and what it means to have that support. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Sometimes people need... I mean, the financial side does help, but these guys have all offered something instead of money. So like Edge have done the team gear, BFast Shop, all the cleaning products, knee sliders and things like that. And like obviously, like I said, with the Butlers doing the oil and stuff, it's all things that I would have needed to buy and pay for it. It's just, you couldn't really do it without them. So it's really important. Where can people find you on social media then? Because we obviously all want to see this big picture that you're going to do for the 86 days. I hope it's good now. So on Instagram, Facebook, and I have got a TikTok, but I don't really use it much, to be fair. So yeah, it's Coulter 86 Racing for Instagram, and it's the same again for Facebook. Perfect. We'll put those links on the podcast page. And I guess just finally, have you got an expectation of yourself for your first MGP? Initially, I was very, very confident at first because I'd gotten really well with the Kawasaki I was riding last year. So I thought I was going to be doing on that. So initially, I was like, I could do a top 10 here. I could do really well. Since I've gone to the Yamaha, I've not been gelling too well with it so far. So there's been a lot of work to do. So now I'm just genuinely going to be really happy with a qualification finish. A top 15 would be an absolute bonus. But yeah, the aim's just do okay, qualify, finish and come on safe. And that's it. And just enjoy the process along the way, you know. Yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it? What is coming up next for you race-wise then? So next weekend I'm at Croft with No Limits again. I've taken on a bit of a new challenge there as well. I'm going to be doing the endurance with a friend of mine, Simon Daniels. So this will be my first endurance race. So the idea behind that is just to try and get used to the fact of being out for a long time, bit of bike fitness. So No Limits next weekend, then the Southern 100, and then the Manx. Pinnock. Not much then? Not much? Yeah. No. So, yeah, need to get my finger out and get the bike ready. Oh, well, it's been brilliant talking to you. Let us know when you make the decision about who's going to be the sidecar driver and passenger, and we look forward to seeing you back over here. Thank you. No problem. Thank you very much. Andrew Coulter, fantastically putting into words, I think, just what it takes to race over here on the Isle of Man. We also, though, spoke about Aaron Sadler, who is part of Andrew's Manx Grand Prix newcomers group. He was due to race over here. He sadly died following an incident in the Supersport A Race 1 at Oliver's Mount in April. But Andrew says Aaron will still very much be part of their racing this year. Originally as well, Aaron Sadler was in our newcomer WhatsApp group, but we unfortunately lost him at the Spring Cup at Oliver's Mount. Me and the boys, with the help of Oliver Dean, who's done some stickers with Aaron's race logo. So we've been sending them out and also taken to race meetings with us where people could make donations there or send donations to PayPal. And then we're going to take them with us to the Southern 100 and the Manx GP as well. Then when we're over at the Manx, we're going to work out how much we've made and then present that as a cheque or something to the Yorkshire Ambulance in name of Aaron.
Andrew there. And I think that really does just reflect that racing is not just about the lap times, the results, the machines. It's also about the people, the friendships, the shared dreams and the risks that everyone in this world understands but never takes lightly. So our thoughts are very much with Aaron Sadler's family, friends and everyone affected. If you would like to follow Andrew's progress, all the links will be on the podcast page, and we really look forward to catching up with him when he's back over here on the Isle of Man very soon. Thank you very much indeed for listening to this episode of Startline. Do take some time to find the riders on social media. Your support is very much appreciated. And if you'd like to get in touch with me and be part of the podcast in the future, you can email beth@startline.im. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.